It's amazing. They did this entire debate in Detroit. They waited until the end to get to questions of race. And then it just turned into a pander fest about slavery, reparations, and the legacy of racism in the United States. Listen, we can talk about the legacy of racism in the United States if we want to do a data-driven drive into what level of current endemic poverty is based on historic racism and Jim Crow, and what level is based on individual actions that keep people in intergenerational poverty, single motherhood, lack of education, criminal activity, and all the rest. And you can say that those things are outgrowths of past systems of discrimination. I'm sure that's true. But the question when it comes to your individual behavior is, what is your individual behavior going to be today? Not, did the legacy of Jim Crow contribute to your individual behavior? The question is, are forces beyond your control the ones that are controlling your life, or is it stuff that is in your control that is controlling your life? We can have all those sorts of conversations. Democrats don't want to have any of them. And so instead, they just pander. It just turns into slavery reparations this and slavery reparations that. Pete Buttigieg tried to pander and failed. And so did Elizabeth Warren. And then Marianne Williamson stepped in. Again, it was her night. She's the one who had the best night. So Pete Buttigieg said, he had this very awkward line where he said that the racial divide lives within me. What the hell does that mean? What does that even, you're white, dude. What?
As an urban mayor serving a diverse community, the racial divide lives within me.
Nothing.
I'm not saying
I don't know what the hell that means. Then Elizabeth Warren jumps in, and she, of course, is going to go as radical as she can because she's going to out-enthusiasm everybody.
We need to call out white supremacy for what it is, domestic terrorism, and it poses a threat to the United States of America. We live in a country now where the president is advancing environmental racism, economic racism, criminal justice racism, healthcare racism. The way we do better is to fight back and show something better. So I have a plan, for example, on education.
Okay, what in the... okay, so it's environmental racism, this kind of racism, and that kind of... Okay, then Marianne Williamson steps in. And Marianne Williamson actually makes a pitch that, again, is spiritual in nature, and thus, when it comes to issues of race, is actually more attractive. Here's Marianne Williamson putting the slavery reparations question in a way that actually sounds more reasonable than the way Democrats are talking about it.
I assure you, I lived in Grosse Pointe. What happened in Flint would not have happened in Grosse Pointe. This is part of the dark underbelly of American society. The racism, the bigotry, and the entire conversation that we're having here tonight, if you think any of this wonkiness is going to deal with this dark psychic force of the collectivized hatred that this president is bringing up in this country, then I'm afraid that the Democrats are going to see some very dark days. We need to say it like it is. It's bigger than Flint.
Okay, and so, again, she's wrong. Flint is governed by minorities. I mean, the folks who are, the mayor of Flint was black at the time. The folks who were involved in the Flint water crisis were of minority descent. It wasn't white people cramming down a situation on Flint. By the way, they're all Democrat. But what she's actually saying there is more speaking to the heart and soul of the Democratic Party than anything that Elizabeth Warren just said. Elizabeth Warren is substituting policy for spirit, and Marianne Williamson is substituting spirit for policy. And if Democrats have to choose, I have a feeling that Marianne Williamson, whoever channels that spirit best, is going to do some damage in these Democratic primaries. Now, listen, it's real weird, right? I mean, she's talking about the dark psychic force of collectivized hatred. We must form a fellowship. We shall call it the Fellowship of the Ring. And we shall go and fight the dark psychic force of collectivized hatred. Until we will toss the ring into the flames, the fiery furnace from whence it came. Marianne Williamson. But, again, got a big cheer. I mean, did you hear that? It's a big cheer. And then here she was more on race. Again, a better pitch than Elizabeth Warren.
We need some deep truth-telling when it comes. We don't need another commission to look at evidence. I appreciate what Congressman O'Rourke has said. It is time for us to simply realize that this country will not heal. All that a country is a collection of people. People heal when there's some deep truth-telling. We need to recognize that when it comes to the economic gap between blacks and whites in America, it does come from a great injustice that has never been dealt with. That great injustice has had to...
Okay, again, she's talking in a way and at a level that other Democrats are not. This is not just me saying that Marianne Williamson is the best and I think that she should be the dictatress of the universe or anything. Really what I'm saying about Marianne Williamson, obviously, is that she is doing something that I think that the rest of the Democratic Party is missing. And what the rest of the Democratic Party is missing is that their appeal right now is a spiritual appeal. It is not a policy appeal. The policy appeal failed on its own merits last night. The spiritual appeal of Williamson did not fail. not among Democrats and not among moderates. She is the Trump of the Democratic Party, except she's not as famous. If she were more famous, she would be leading this race right now among Democrats. It's pretty obvious that that is the case, by the way.